Dr. Ben Carson was at the CPAC, the 2024 CPAC, and he warns of an entirely new threat to America. When I saw this, I was wondering because he's very intellectual and he always has interesting views. I thought I should bring it to the channel so we can see.
76 alive. But as we gather here today, I really want to discuss an entirely new threat to our country. Just a few miles up the road in Washington, D.C., an entirely different scene is unfolding. Our government and our legacy institutions are losing credibility in the public eye at breakneck speed, even though their systematic takeover of America has been going on for years. The federal bureaucracy, the mainstream media, academia, Hollywood, big tech, and every other nexus of power in America today has turned its fire against conservatives, against Christians, against anyone who stands in their way.
Against moral values. That's what it seems like to me.
Conservatives, against Christians, against anyone who stands in their way. I call this the crisis of legitimacy in the United States government. America was founded on the notion that all political power comes from the consent of the governed, and that sovereignty does not belong to any one official or institution, but it belongs to we, the American people. The reality is that the government in Washington, D.C. no longer represents the people it claims to serve. And it has stopped even pretending
to represent them.
The charge laid out by our founders, the protection of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Put simply, Washington is losing its legitimate claim to govern the American people. Millions of Americans look around and wonder, what's becoming of their beloved nation? They don't recognize the place that they grew up in, and they wonder what kind of future is in store for their children and grandchildren. Young men, particularly young white men, aren't signing up in great numbers for military anymore because they don't want to fight for a country that hates them. They don't want to die halfway around the world to protect the borders of Ukraine or Taiwan or any other country on the earth.
This is a very interesting point. I've heard a lot of people share this. The thing that I always emphasize or I keep saying is the thing Vivek Ramaswamy said on The Breakfast Club, where he said teenagers in America would give up, I think over 60% would give up the right to voting, then give up the right to use TikTok. So yeah, that's the situation now.
They want to fight for a country that hates them. They don't want to die halfway around the world to protect the borders of Ukraine or Taiwan or any other country on the earth, when our own border is being overrun by the millions with terrorists and cartel members and human traffickers coming in every day. They don't want to join a fighting force that is more concerned with woke activism, gender inclusivity, LGBT issues, than it is with protecting Americans. They don't want to be part of an operation that spends trillions of dollars abroad while the small towns they call home are falling into dissolution and our communities are being ravaged by drugs and depression while their jobs are shipped overseas without a second thought. And they don't want to fight overseas just to come home to a country hell-bent on vindictive identity politics that promises to take what little social and economic capital they have left and redistribute it to racial, sexual, religious, and other minority groups as a pure power play by the radical left. Who can blame them?
This is a very powerful speech. This is very powerful. I know he has a very subtle tone, very calm, but really pay attention to what he's saying. This is the situation. I can tell you this is factual. This is not even him speculating. Seems very factual to me.
Religious and other minority groups as a pure power play by the radical left. Who can blame them? And how long can a country last in that way? It isn't just happening in our military either. As we see every day, virtually every single institutional power in our country has become openly hostile to conservatives, to Christians, to our country's legacy, and even the concept of Western civilization itself. Our education system has been taken over by radicals who push insane political ideologies like CRT, DEI, transgenderism, and more on our poor children, while they no longer even learn basic reading, math, and civics. They come down with the full force of the law when a student tries to open a Bible or say a prayer in school. And they're putting all this stuff over on our young people who have brains that are not fully developed yet. And to take somebody who's curious and impressionable and infect them with these kinds of things is nothing less than child abuse.
Infect them early.
Inflation, gas prices have risen so high that everyday American families struggle to even put food on the table and gas in their cars. And Washington's solution, double down on insane environmental policies like the Green New Deal.
Canada too. Canada is the same thing. Yeah, Canada, I think there was a report, I don't remember where I saw this, but people are borrowing money to buy food. I don't know if you understand the concept. Usually you'd borrow money to do something that will give you an interest so you can pay back what you borrowed and pay the interest and still have some money. But now people borrow money, take loans just to buy food. How do you think they're going to pay back that money? And the government is pushing green energy. No disrespect to the government. I don't know. Maybe they know something that I don't. So, kudos to them.
Mandatory electric vehicles, even though other countries pollute at far higher rates than we do.
That's
We're
facts.
sitting on some of the largest untapped oil reserves in the world. Our borders are wide open. An estimated 10 million illegal aliens have invaded our country since Biden took over, which is more than the population of 40 of the 50 states.
Yeah.
A civilization cannot sustain itself this way. And we have no idea who these people are. They could be terrorists, spies, cartel members, or human traffickers, and they appear to be mostly military-age males. They could be affecting things like our cell phone systems and whether they work appropriately every day. And I guarantee you there's a whole bunch of stuff that they're going to be doing. All these people coming here are not our friends. The leaders in Washington won't enforce the law and protect you from the rampant crime that is destroying our inner cities and making them unlivable for families and children. And they even want to take away your ability to protect yourself by attacking lawful gun owners and slowly abolishing the Second Amendment. Meanwhile, they let hardened criminals out of jail while peaceful pro-life protesters and patriotic grandmothers who walked into the Capitol on January 6th are facing a decade or more in prison. Think about that. Think about that. And this is a time when we live through the summer of BLM, Antifa protests, burning down cities, destroying businesses, looting stores, with support from government officials and the biggest corporations on earth. The law is being used to constantly harass upstanding citizens while the real criminals go untouched. To our leaders, you and I are the enemy. Not the carjackers and the looters and the criminals who are running rampant in our cities.
Now I want to see the full speech. I thought that was going to be the full speech. But yeah, that was incredible. Ben Carson, I told you, he's very knowledgeable and has very good views. Said it very calm. But that was very powerful. He said a lot of things, And again, a lot of the things he said, in fact, everything, I believe is factual. And the government should take note of all of these things. All of these things. The border, like you said, 10 million people. New York is like 10 million people too. So you basically have welcomed the size of New York through your borders illegally, and you don't know who that is. Speculations are saying that these people will be allowed to vote, and that's why they let them in, that they would give them a right to vote, and that's a trick to win the 2024 elections. We don't know. There are other speculations that they're letting these people of military age come because they're expecting a war. I also don't know. Today we saw a video from Ireland. Irelanders, is that how they call them? I apologize if I called you wrong, but the people of Ireland are also protesting against migrants coming to their country. I think they've received over 140,000 people already. And the question would be, why are these people going there? Most of the people they have in Ireland actually went from Ukraine, the refugees from Ukraine. But also, people are speculating that they're expecting a war in the world, and that's why people are accepting soldiers, as many as they can accept. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that point of view. Again, I'm not here to spread propaganda or conspiracy. I'm just sharing what I've heard and speculations, and we can have a discussion, but feel free to do your own research. Smash that like button, share your thoughts on that speech. If there's anything you want to add, correct, or critique, let us know in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.